Welcome back to Ask Diz. I'm Diz, and this is the show where you ask and I answer your most pressing running questions. Let's get started, shall we? Today we have a great question that comes from Xenia, and Xenia asks, how do I get past race anxiety and self-doubt for my first 26.2? Xenia, there's nothing like that first marathon. I definitely remember back in the day, almost 10 years ago now, where I ran my first marathon. I had no clue what to expect, no clue what I was getting myself into, no clue how to properly prepare for the race. And boy, it was an adventure to say the least. That said, I'm gonna say that probably, hopefully, you're gonna have a better experience than I did, because I hope that you're better prepared than I was. You see, when I ran my first marathon, my longest training run up to that point was about 14 miles. And I legitimately thought that I was gonna be fine, that it was gonna be not a problem at all. If I can do 14, clearly, I can do 26.2 miles. With the benefit of hindsight, clearly, I couldn't have been more wrong. I did manage to finish. I walked myself most of the last 8 or 9 miles to get across the finish line. But I did do it. I was able to check that box, and obviously have come back for more since then. But for you, Xenia, I think that the biggest thing that hopefully you have going for you that I didn't have going for me was a good training plan leading up to that point. Also, just from the fact that you're asking this question, you have a bit of respect for the distance that I didn't have. Because like I said, 14 miles, good enough. I'm gonna be fine. Little did I know what the last 12 miles beyond what I had trained for, what that was gonna be like. So, when it comes to your training, when it comes to the anxiety and the self-doubt and the question of can I do it as your race date gets closer, your training is such a huge component. It's such a thing that you can really use to help combat some of that anxiety and some of that doubt and some of that questioning and wondering and worry about whether you'll be able to cross the finish line, because you can reflect back and look at what you've done to this point. And hopefully what you've done, and by reviewing it, you'll get that boost of confidence, that sense of calm, that sense of peace that can come over you and let you know that, yeah, you really can do this. You've done the work so far. You've done the training leading up to that first marathon, and the work that you've done is going to support you. It's going to give you that boost to go those last, however farther that you need to go. So if you only have trained up to like 20 miles for the marathon, which is pretty common, the work that you've done will give you that boost and allow you to be able to go that last 6.2 miles to get to the finish line. So one of the things that I would definitely recommend that you do, whether it's your first marathon or down the road in future marathons or half marathons or whatever distances that you continue to race in the future, is in those last couple of weeks, certainly the last few days leading up to the marathon, if you're feeling nervous, if you're feeling anxious, if you're not sure if I did enough, reflect back on your training. If you've kept a training journal, look at your training journal. Look back at the notes that you've kept. If you're like me and you're a little lax on leaving a detailed training journal where you're just sharing your thoughts and how this run went and how it felt and all of those types of details that those that leave really good training journals tend to write down, at least look back at your data on Strava or Garmin or wherever you keep track of your runs, and look at the progression that you've made. Look at the fact that you started out, 10 weeks ago, 12 weeks ago, 16 weeks ago, and your long runs were 8 or 10 miles. And over the course of the last 3 months, 4 months, you've built up to where you've gotten some 18 milers in, some 20 milers. Maybe you've gone above and beyond 20 miles and have a 22 miler under your belt, or maybe you will before race day comes. So you can look back at that progress and kind of see that linear nature where you started here, started from the bottom, now we're here. You've built up over the course of the training cycle to get to where that next step to get to 26.2 isn't a huge thing. It's just the next step in the progression. And that will hopefully give you a sense of peace, a sense of calm, a sense of, all right, I've done the work, I've taken the steps, and I know that I can do it. I know that I can take the next step. Another thing that like I said, that you have going for you that probably I didn't have going for me is that you are aware enough to be a little bit nervous, to be a little bit scared, to be a little bit worried about what's to come. And while that on the surface may not seem like an asset, may not seem like a good thing, what that says to me, and hopefully what it truly means for you, is that you have prepared, you have trained, you've crossed the I's and dotted the T's, or crossed the T's and dotted the I's, whichever way it works for you. But you've been doing the work, you've been getting your runs in, you've been taking care of the little things, taking care of your diet, making sure your nutrition's on point, getting plenty of rest. Basically just done all the things, because if you thought it was going to be no big deal, if you're like, whatever, this is fine, I got it, that's when it's easy to slack off. That's when it's easy to kind of cruise and coast and show up ill-prepared like I did for my first marathon. But if you're worried about it, if you're nervous, if you're anxious, hopefully that means that you're doing all those things that you need to do. And now, hopefully maybe something I'm saying is triggering in your brain to go, yeah, I have done everything. I have done what I've needed to do. I have done what I'm supposed to do, and I'm going to be able to do this. And I think you're going to be able to do this. I think you're going to be able to do this. So, it's just a matter now of, from now until race day, however long that is, continue what you've been doing. Continue to do the work. Don't try to cram a whole bunch of miles in at the end. When you get to the taper time, respect the taper. But until then, follow your plan. Continue to train. Continue to build up, so that when race day comes, you're at that point where you can make that next step. You run that last 4 miles, 5 miles, 6 miles, whatever it is that's beyond what you've done before, but relying on that work that you've done to this point, you're going to be good to go. You're going to be good to go. So the too long don't read version, what you've already read at this point. So I guess it's kind of moot. But the big thing, trust your training. If you've done the work, if you've put in the miles, training doesn't have to be perfect. So if that's something that you're hung up on, if you missed a run here or there, it's okay. It's okay. All right? As long as you've consistently done the work, not perfectly done the work, but just consistently, you've gotten most of your runs in, most of your miles, you're taking care of yourself, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. And the biggest thing I can tell you is to just try to relax and have fun. There's nothing like that first 26.2 finish line, at least as far as running goes, at least as far as my experience in running goes, I guess I should qualify that. But the emotions, the feelings, oh shit, I can't believe I did this, it's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. So congratulations to you on getting to this point where the marathon's getting closer and you're starting to wonder, you're starting to worry. Breathe. You're going to be okay. Keep doing the work. Have fun. I can't wait to hear how that first 26.2 feels, how it goes, how it went. Picture that medal. Would love to see that as well. So Xenia, thank you for the question. I hope that helps. I hope that helps to set your mind and your heart a little bit at ease. Just trust the process. You're gonna do fine. And if you have future questions that I can answer for you, Xenia, please feel free to send them to askdiz@dizruns.com. That email address should be floating around somewhere on the screen right now. It's also down in the details of this video below. And I'll be happy to help you out in any way I can. And anybody else watching the video, if you have questions that you would like to get answered on a future episode of Ask Diz, just send them to the same email address, askdiz@dizruns.com. Of course, you can also take out your phone, record yourself actually asking the question, send that voice file to the same email address, askdiz@dizruns.com, and we'll get you featured on a future episode of this very program. So, without any further ado, thank you guys for watching. Xenia, I hope that this question, or this answer, this babbling thing is helpful for you. Relax, you're gonna be fine. I know it, I can feel it. Have fun, and until next time, y'all take care, all right? See ya.